I mean, let's stay on the commodity thing, right? Because as higher oil prices, right? If we see higher oil price, higher energy prices, it means every other company, right? Every company, right? That impacts every one of them. So what are they going to do? They're going to raise prices, and so that leads directly to inflation, which hurts us all. It's funny how all of a sudden nobody's talking about coal anymore. And coal is very, 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 very interesting, which coal prices in January 2021 is $60. You know what they are today? $235. If you want to see companies that reported the best earnings this earnings season, and probably the past two earnings seasons, you can look at Arch and Peabody. And these companies are seeing so much demand and generating so much money. And again, you're not going to hear it because they better not put publicity on this, right? You don't want that. Everybody hates the coal of the enemy. They're killing the world, right? But what they're doing is they're exporting a lot of it to places like China and people that are using it, right? They're promising that we're going to lower emissions. Instead, they're using very, very cheap coal to fund their operations and build their economy while we decide to cut our drilling right now because, which again, I'm support climate change and I agree with it, but it would be nice if we had the renewables to cover what we're cutting, which is why we're seeing this massive surge outside. It was happening before this, Ukraine and Russia this escalated. And to see where coal is going right now to the point where these guys are generating so much free cash flow, it amounts to about 80% of their entire market cap. Try to find a company that you could say that about. There aren't any. There's zero. You're not going to find that any place. Whatever. I mean, let's add a different quarter, selling business or whatever, bought in cash. But when you look at that, what everything else is paid in that free cash flow, free money, that the amount of money that these companies are making right now and phasing out a lot of their operations like they're supposed to, and they thought that would cost a lot of money, but now it's not because you're seeing coal prices higher and just focusing on other things like, coal that's a little bit cleaner than the real dirty coal. And those dirty coal plants, that's what they're shutting down in the U.S. But man, it's just the commodity prices and what we're seeing. Look at lumber. Lumber's through the roof again. Even palladium, platinum have been surging. I mean, surprised gold hasn't really taken off here. We're just waiting for that. It has steadily moved higher, seen some of these stocks do a little bit better, but I'm surprised it's just not surging here. But coal is, man, China's using it more than ever. It's just,
China and India, absolutely.
India, two largest consumers of coal. And wow, it's crazy. It really is. So, there are plays off of this that work. Inflationary indicators are going to continue to go higher as long as we have this, back and forth. We're looking today as we started this, and NASDAQ was up around 1.5%. It's down now. Same with the Dow as we're doing this, and we're doing this around, 10 o'clock, 10:15. So, you're going to constantly see this back and forth, but there are industries that are going to continue to do well, that will do well in inflationary environments, and also just have pricing power. And I covered a lot of that yesterday, and that's really what we're seeing here. But it kind of is amazing just to see where coal prices are, where commodity prices are, and just continue to surge.
I have a fun stat for you around coal, and I'm gonna totally screw it up right off the bat. So I'll admit this. I don't have the year over year or anything, but it has to be significant. And for everybody out there, we've referenced different where we get data and different websites, things. Oilprice.com is a great source for energy related, all kinds of things, as the name includes or hints. Between January 2019 and November of last year, commercial banks funneled a jaw-dropping $1.5 trillion in the coal industry alone. 80% of coal financing and investments come from just 6 countries, which this isn't going to shock anybody: United States, China, Japan, India, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Nothing can go straight up forever. We're going to see ebbs and flows, volatility and things. But here's why I think this has a lot further to run, or at least sustainably higher. You mentioned if we could replace all the energy needs from quote-unquote dirty to quote-unquote clean, that would be fantastic. And I don't think anybody, including yours truly, would be upset with that. But since you can't, and it's not actually possible, then there ought to be better steps to take. Here's why it's going to continue. This gentleman, the head of research, they're basically saying, unless we end financing, they're not basically saying, this is a quote, unless we end financing of coal, it will end us. They're not even acknowledging the fact that people need energy around the world, and they don't care. They don't care about higher prices. They're simply saying, hey, this is such a serious situation that if we don't get off of coal and just cut off the financing, then it's going to ruin and kill the earth. Mm-hmm. That, my friends, is all you need to know on why this is still a timeout box. Coal is a swear word for investing. Just like leverage is a swear word. If you say leverage, a lot of people just think you're being a housing market in 2007, 2008. And it's not. So as long as you have people just putting their head in the sand and thinking, hey, we got to get off this because the world's coming to an end, you can make a lot of money as they come to realize that just simply isn't true.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bad word. Really quick, because I'm going to bring up
we
a
need
chart.
A swear jar, Frank. That'd be a fun little podcast thing. We need a swear jar for different words. Not good words like you used, but like coal and things like that.
Yes.
It'd be kind of fun.
And even swear words. I get,
Get subscribers to...
Yeah. My emotions come out, and then New York comes out, so I curse. But right now I have the UK gas chart here, and it's kind of funny if you watch it on the YouTube page. If not, I'm going to explain it to you if you just listen to iTunes. But you're looking at $30 prices in September 2020, and they went up as high as almost $400. Yeah, $350 went as high as, and now it's at $200. And so they don't have leverage, right? It's just you don't have leverage in Europe where you want to cut off your biggest supplier of energy. But another one, you mentioned a dirty word. Another real dirty word is uranium. And that solves a lot of people's problems when it comes to uranium. So, I'm just surprised that you're not seeing more. We just see a huge rise, right? We're looking at $28, $29 prices. They did go for $50 for a little bit, and they pulled back down. They're like $43, $44 a pound. But, man, that solves so many problems, especially in Europe, which really, again, Fukushima, a lot of craziness, and everybody came off of, everyone's going to die, and nuclear plants are going to explode every place and all this stuff. But if you really focus on that, I mean, it can cover a lot of these costs and reduce the need for these fossil fuels. And it's the cleanest fuel. It's 24-hour base load, which is not like solar or wind, where you need the sun to be out or the wind to be blowing for energy. And it just makes sense. It's safe. A lot of people worry about it. I get it. But, man, you can see in some plants turn back on. France turn back on. France also said that they're going to use a little bit more coal, which makes sense because – yeah, they have to. You don't have a choice. I mean, look where prices are when you have all these initiatives and stuff. But man, I'm surprised we're not seeing more out of uranium, Daniel, and prices really, really surge. Because even in this environment where we're seeing how oil prices could really skyrocket, and they're going to stay here, guys. Even outside of this, they were rising tremendously before this crisis, right? Before Ukraine, Russia. Just when you're looking at demand, the supply issues, and so much supply coming off the market and under investments and stuff, this is going to be around for a while. The energy is going to be around for a while. You're going to see high energy prices. So, it will be interesting to see how this plays out, but man, uranium just makes a lot of sense for me now.
Uranium's in the same situation as gold. I'm just surprised it's not spiking and a lot higher than it is. I wish I had a better answer to tell everybody that. I'm as dumbfounded as I have been, but that's the reality of it. So we'll just continue to research and follow that. But yeah, both of those are kind of head scratchers on my end.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It definitely is. And it's just kind of funny because, all this stems from, all of the, you have Fukushima, you have, it seems like every 20, 25 years we have something with nuclear, with a radiation link or something like that. But when you look at where the most earthquakes come from, and that's what happened with Fukushima, they happen along the Ring of Fire. So the Ring of Fire, and that so happens with the Ring of Fire is where the most nuclear plants are located, right? Which doesn't make sense to me, but that doesn't include Europe. Right. So, especially in some of these places where just, very, very little part of Europe, not a lot, if any. But, for France and, just Germany and everybody just like, hey, no more nuclear ever. It's just, for me, I kind of think it's funny when you really look at it. But and right away, I'll bring up a picture right here where you could see it through the Ring of Fire. But that's where you see that, the most earthquakes happen. And, so let's not build nuclear plants along that if we can. But it doesn't mean you have to close every single one because, man, that would take 24-hour baseload, cheap energy, cleaner than ever. It just makes sense at every level. But again, it's a dirty word. It's a dirty word that people are definitely afraid of, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So I guess coal I think is better. I think coal is more. I would say. I think people could when it comes to coal, say, hey, I'm okay with coal much more quicker than they would be okay with uranium. I think around the world, I really do. I think in the U.S., that's no. But like every place else around the world, I think that's...
The meltdowns, the fears of explosions and radiation. I mean, I get that to a certain extent. I'm not, you could go down there, you could have conversations and explain how it's safe and why it's safe and all that. But, meltdowns are awful. And, I give people credit, or I at least understand that sympathy and that worriness. I'm not saying it's enough to stop and not build them out, not continue down that path for all the positives, but I understand how the highlight of the negative is an eye catcher, granted.